This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon. This webinar offers closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, click on the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen and choose your preferred method. Welcome to the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection webinar. Please note any website or email that I mentioned will be posted in the chat. For those seeking business license assistance, you can visit us here at the Small Business Center at City Hall or call 312-74-GO-BIZ. Also, business license can be applied for or renewed online at chicagobusinessdirect.org. If you are part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. To learn more about this program, please visit chicago.gov/business education. This webinar is being recorded and will be available at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. We would like to encourage all attendees to ask questions. Please use the chat box to send your questions. There will be a Q&A session at the end of this presentation. At this time, I will now turn this webinar over to BACP Commissioner Ken Meyer for us to begin.
Thank you, Stella. Sound check, can you hear me okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BACP Empower Hour. My name is Ken Meyer, and I'm the Commissioner for the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, also known as BACP. Our goal is to help businesses and consumers get the info they need to succeed by sharing advice and stories from our wonderful Chicago entrepreneurs. Chicago's brunch scene is lively and features delicious favorites all across the city. So let's see what's cooking this afternoon. Today's guest is Craig Richardson, co-owner of Batters and Berries in Lincoln Park. The eclectic restaurant is a staple of Chicago's vibrant brunch scene. The idea and the continuing principle behind the well-known restaurant is to offer the freshest food possible with flavors from all over the world and friendly service. And I'm glad I just had lunch, otherwise I'd be getting hungry. So good afternoon, Craig, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with your entrepreneurship.
Great. So I'm Craig Richardson. I'm co-owner of Batter and Berries along with my wife, Dr. Tanya Richardson. And I'm originally from Gary, Indiana. And I went to Ball State University and worked for a major insurance company for about 22 years before taking the leap into entrepreneurship. My wife is a lifelong Chicagoan, and that's how I ended up here, because when we were dating, she said, I am never leaving Chicago. And I said, I'm good with that. And so I've been here for about 24 years now, by her side and her by mine. She comes from a family of entrepreneurs in Chicago. Her uncle started Luster Products, which is a worldwide hair care products company. Her mom and dad own several businesses in the Inglewood neighborhood, local grocery stores, barber, beautician salons, hair care products. They've been serial entrepreneurs, and so she's always had that example in her life. And we always talked about doing some sort of entrepreneur project together. So one of the things that we would do when we were dating was go to brunch.
Okay.
And it was primarily because of her schedule. You know, she was in the residency program at St. Joseph's up on Lakeshore Drive, is where she did her primary care residency after graduating from UIC Med School. So like I said, she's been here for, she's done everything here. And due to her schedule, sometimes we couldn't go out to dinner in the evening. We'd have to go out to brunch in the afternoon. And it kind of turned into a hobby. And we just started trying a whole bunch of different places and trying new things. And so we ended up basically turning a hobby into a business. And we've done it for so long. And she said, "Hey, you ever think about opening a restaurant?" And I was like, "Yeah." And about 10 years later, it happened. We just decided to take that leap and into entrepreneurship and into the restaurant world. And here we are.
That is a great story. So how did you guys come up with the name Batter and Berries? Tell me that process.
It was really a brainstorming session. It was, let's put it all on the board. I kept coming up with words with berries in them or names with berries. She kept coming up with names with the word batter in them, primarily because, we're about a mile from Wrigley Field. And so she was thinking things like batter up.
Yeah.
That, so she's going all batter. I'm going all berries. And at some point, the commonalities in the two different groups of names, we just merged them into batter and berries.
I love that. That's great. That's great. How long did that process take?
One day.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's like we're gonna figure this out today.
According to U.S. News and World Report, Chicago ranks third for having the best food in the country. With so many options for brunch in Chicago, what makes your establishment stand out from the others, besides being very close to Wrigley Field?
We just try to be creative, fun, friendly, try to have a upbeat, lively environment. I think people enjoy that. We play house music, which is a Chicago
Yeah.
staple in the music world. And so we try to just bring that energy and give people that energy in the morning that they need to really get ready for their day. This is not the end of your day. This is like the beginning. And so we want you to leave out full, but also full of energy and good vibes and carry that through the rest of your day.
That's great. After speaking with a few of my colleagues here at BACP and actually some friends who know the restaurant, they seem to think that your French toast light is your best-selling item on the menu. Is this true? And if not, what's your most requested item on the menu?
It is true. We
Okay.
do sell a whole lot of French toast flights, and people really kind of get into it. They're like, "I'm here to get my flight. I'm here to catch a flight," and all that. So we do sell a whole lot of that. But we also do a lot of specials, and some of the specials, if they really catch on great, we'll repeat them maybe once a year even. Like currently, one of the specials that we have is a jambalaya omelet that we always do just this time of year because it's kind of like Mardi Gras time. And it will challenge the French toast flight in sales because people know it's only going to be here for about, a month and a half or so. And so it really, we're like sending jambalaya omelets out the kitchen left and right. Same thing when we do lamb chops. We sell a ton of them. We can hardly keep enough lamb. Same thing when we do our lobster omelet. We're having to get deliveries almost every other day just to try to keep up with the amount of sales. So we do get some other things that really challenge the French toast flight, but overall it is our biggest staple.
Will you just describe to us the French toast flight?
The French toast flight. Okay, so we have 4 standard flavors of French toast that are always on our menu. It's blueberry, strawberry, lemon, and caramel.
Oh, wow.
But you can get them all onto one flight, so you can get a little bit of each of them. And then we have this thing called the super flight, because every week we do a French toast special. And so I haven't been in a restaurant this week. I can't remember what the special is this week.
That's okay.
I got so much going on. But anyway, you can, if you get a super flight, you get all of our standard flavors plus the special of the week. And so that becomes, so a lot of people actually, the super flight is actually the biggest seller because you can get the special of the week along with it.
Let's talk about the special week. So I assume you're probably consulting with the chefs and the cooks and what have you, that folks are actually going to make it. Maybe they're even practicing. How important is that, do you think, to have the special in terms of just continually drawing customers into the restaurant?
So the special of the week, and actually it's strawberry chocolate champagne is the special this week. So it's got,
Of course, yeah, Valentine's.
yeah, Valentine's week. We do that. We always do something with either champagne, strawberries, or maybe even roses in the batter around this time of year. It's important because it just gives people an opportunity to come back for something different.
Yeah.
It gives great marketing opportunities, obviously, great social media opportunities to be able to throw something out there every week that's different. It keeps our chefs engaged in the creative process. It allows us to do collaborations with other organizations or other chefs in the community. So it opens up to a lot of different ways to just be creative and collaborative, and again, just to have folks have a reason to come back.
Yeah, it's great. Let's just go down the path a little bit right now of social media. So social media has changed the way we see the world. We are learning that social media has become a much needed tool for the success of small businesses. And also, particularly in the restaurant world, can be very helpful in terms of diners putting positive food. They all become food critics, and but also how you handle those who maybe don't like the pancake of the month. Can you explain your social media strategy and your strategy and how your strategy's changed or stayed since you opened your doors?
So I was a little unconventional when we opened. So I started out with a Facebook page, and I did not have a website. We did not have a website for probably about 6 years. So the only way to connect with us was through social media, through Facebook at first, and then after about, I want to say about 3 or 4 years, then we also got on Instagram when Instagram started to become popular. But we were on we were on Facebook and Instagram without a web page. And so, and people, it was funny because of course, everyone wants to sell their services to build your web page and things. And I would have people sit down in the restaurant and tell me, you can't run a business like that. You can't just have social media. Everyone's not on social media, and you can't do that. And I'm sitting there looking at the person and saying, you realize you're telling me what I can't do while there's a 2-hour wait.
That's great.
Like, okay, you're telling me what I can't do, but I'm going to keep doing what I can't do. After a while, we did incorporate a website, but we still push folks towards, even our website was still kind of pushed folks towards the social media, because the social media allows you to push information out. And I think that's the difference between social media and a website, right? A website, people have to come to it.
You, yeah.
Yeah, versus social media, you can push content into their palms of their hands and to their laptops and things, and that's where people are. And so it's about trying to be where people are, right? If you're trying to if you're trying to advertise. You know, there'd be no sense putting up a billboard if the highways were empty.
Right,
That's
exactly.
You know, so I've always favored, you know, social media as a marketing tool. And even within social media, um, I wouldn't start a different, I had this strategy where I wouldn't start a different medium until I felt like I was really at a certain point with the one that I was currently working on. So I didn't start an Instagram page until I got to, I think, 20,000 followers on Facebook. And then we started that. Later, Twitter, I've kind of fallen off of Twitter, though I didn't really feel like it was giving me the same bang for the buck as Instagram was. Instagram is really the most popular for food because Instagram is all about pictures, and pictures sell food.
Yeah.
So, you know, but we've been able to, you know, accumulate for our little, you know, small, medium-sized restaurant. We've been able to accumulate about a little over 60,000 followers on Facebook and about 40, I don't know, 43, 44,000 followers on Instagram. And so it's been a good, good way to promote our business. We have a lot of followers on Yelp also. I want to say like about 20,000 followers on Yelp. And, you know, I don't get real caught up on Yelp reviews like some people do. I mean, Yelp can, man, it can take you on an emotional roller coaster,
Right.
and you have to be able to know when to hit the brakes. And so I don't really, be honest with you, I don't really read the Yelp reviews that much. I might have a staff member read them. I really look for trends in reviews versus emotion. I'm looking for the trends. And if I see a trend, then it's okay, let's look into this with my management team and see if this is something that's, you know, that's happening that we need to head off. But but if it's not a trend, then I'm not really, you know, like getting too worked up about it. Um, you know, your greatest source of customer satisfaction is going to be smiles on faces at tables.
Yeah.
And you know, how people are leaving out the door. Are they leaving out the door with smiles? Are they when you're saying, hey, see you guys next time, they're saying, hey, thank you, everything was great, you know, that type of thing. You have to really, and I have my managers really monitor the customer satisfaction of people while they're at the restaurant. Because if there's something that is not uh, right, then they can have the opportunity to maybe make it right.
Yeah, no, I I appreciate that. I think that's really good advice for everyone. You almost look at whichever way it's going, almost like a data analytics, right? Instead of just having a one-off person that woke up in a bad mood and just gave you a bad Yelp review, kind of really, you're not losing yourself down that rabbit hole, right? You're keeping your positive outlook. What's next week's special going to be? And I think that's very, very important. And I do know restaurateurs who've told me they got a little too focused on the Yelp reviews, and just like one bad review just kind of makes it for a bad day for them. And it's like I think that's just great advice for anyone in a small business that's online where the public can review them. Very,
Yeah.
very helpful advice. Let me just ask you this, because you know February is Black History Month, and what are the ways that Batter and Berries are recognizing and celebrating this important month?
So during Black History Month, we are doing collaborations with other Black entrepreneurs in the Chicagoland area. And so we have about 3 specials currently that we're working with other restaurateurs.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
Two Fish on the south side, we're using their seasoning and what we call a two fish Benny or the two fish Benedict, where we kind of have it's kind of a fried salmon with the poached eggs and kind of a two fish aioli that we made out of their seasoning, and we're promoting it on our social media. They'll promote it on theirs type of deal. Soul and Smoke. We are using their pulled pork on a poutine and also on a sandwich. And also you can just get it with eggs and hash browns, just kind of
That's
like,
great.
yeah. And we're also doing a collaboration with Uncle Nearest, the whiskey. And so we have a Uncle Nearest short rib. So we've braised it in the Uncle Nearest and some other spices and things for like 8 hours and till it's nice and tender, and it makes kind of it almost turns into kind of an Uncle Nearest type of barbecue sauce per se. And so we just serve that with eggs and hash browns. And we also have we're doing a merch drop we're collaborating with a group called Gratitude out of Chicago, and they've created a special batter and berry hoodie that these young guys have designed, and it is really hot. And so we've been working with them. They're doing the design and the marketing, and we're gonna drop that for sale, I think, in about on February 25th. That's gonna hit right before the end of Black History Month. And so these young guys are really, really talented. And we're happy to kind of be in this collaboration with them.
No, I think that's really important. How did you form that collaboration? How'd you form those professional friendships and partnerships?
Part of it is that, well, we support these businesses even with our own dollars, personally. Like all these places, I've taken my family to eat and things. The chefs know each other. Our chef knows them, knows their chefs. So we've got that also. We've met these folks. We're also doing one with Brown Sugar Bakery, actually, on the south side too.
Yeah.
We're going to do a French toast using some of her ingredients. So yeah, these are folks that we've really kind of shared the entrepreneurial experience with. Because, one thing, if you're going to become an entrepreneur, it's real nice to know folks who are in your particular line of work or your particular field that you're going into, because it helps to have those support mechanisms there. Because being out here as an entrepreneur can be a little lonely sometimes, and there's not a lot of when I worked in the corporate world, if I had questions, there was always somebody above me I could ask. And it's not the same when you're an entrepreneur. So it's nice to you always want to develop those type of relationships that you can bounce things off each other and keep each other informed of certain things. Hey, did you hear about this or that? Especially during, like, we just came through times of pandemic and things like that. Folks communicate with each other, say, hey, did you hear about this grant, or have you seen that? Trying to make sure everyone knows where the resources are out there to to make it through.
That's great. That's great. Speaking about resources and partnerships, tell us a little bit about your association with local chambers and how they're able to assist small business owners such as yourself And do you currently work with the chamber? And have you found the assistance beneficial in kind of working this professional network that you just so eloquently described?
So we are part of the Lincoln Park Chamber, and they've been great. There's always resources. Obviously, there's always member resources in terms of folks who can, handle your banking or your insurance or any other those professional services that you might need. And you might not have that person or that guy or that gal yet. So you can always go to the chamber and find, those folks that you might need. But they've also been supportive in marketing and marketing assistance. They've been supportive in vandalism assistance, snow removal, all kind of stuff. I mean, they've been real. So we've been. It's been a good partnership with the chamber. I would advise folks to, join the local chamber.
That's great. Thank you for that. And Craig, one of the questions we get asked the most here at BACP, or even when I'm out about in the various communities, is, entrepreneurs or even current business owners just seeking capital, right? Either seeking capital to start their business or seeking capital to enhance or even expand their business. How are you able to secure the capital to open your business? And then maybe just kind of explain some of the financial obstacles you might have run across and lessons learned, and any advice you give to our listeners today.
Well, I am still learning about finance and business, to be honest with you. When we started, we really funded a lot of it out of our own pocket and savings and 401k and all those things, because there's not a lot of financing out there that will take a risk, or in restaurants particularly. They may for some other business, but restaurants are pretty high risk, and a lot of banks and things shy away from it. So, I cashed in some 401k. I took a loan from the credit union right before I quit. Paid it back, didn't stiff them or anything like that. Paid it back early, actually.
Good.
But and also continued to work. So there was a period of time when I was working, and I would leave work in the south suburbs and drive to Lincoln Park to do things in the restaurant at night. But I still needed the income from the other job while getting the other entrepreneur effort started. And so, yeah, you have to just be creative. You have to turn over every rock, every stone, and see what's under it. These days there are some different grants and opportunities out there, and we actually working with a partner for the West Side location that we're planning on in the Austin community.
Nice.
She was able to secure a grant from the city, the Best West, Southwest, Best West. Yeah. And so
Best Southwest. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's, obviously that's a big boost. And I would advise folks obviously to look into programs like that, that can possibly, be that influx of capital that they might need. Sometimes you might have to go unconventional. There are other companies out there that lend money. They tend to be a little higher rate, but a little bit easier to secure funds, and you just have to kind of weigh the risk and reward there.
Yeah.
And and try to develop a relationship with the bank, particularly a local bank.
Well, that's all very helpful, and I'll give us our main website, which will have some more information at the end of the hour. Greg, when you're not running a business, what do you do to relax?
Running.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We've had a good winter. Outdoor running or indoor?
Outdoor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run, and then when it's a little warmer, I try to ride bike.
Okay.
And I would tell people, entrepreneurship, when you own a business, it's always with you. You don't lock the door at night and go home and it's not with you anymore. It stays with you. So you have to carve out some time, whether it's once a week or a couple times a week or whatever, that you can kind of clear your head and you just got to get the noise out of your head. And so for me, that's running and bike riding, because when I'm running, I usually go for about 3 miles. And if I go for a bike ride, about 25, 30 miles. For me to do that, I have to focus on what I'm doing at that moment. I have to focus on my breathing, my pace, all those things. So I can't really focus on anything else. And so it basically clears all the other noise out of my head for, that time period.
Have you always been a runner, or is that something you started since you became the owner of the restaurant?
I've done a little bit, probably for most of my life. You go through some periods where you don't get to sometimes, but I've really tried to be more consistent since becoming an entrepreneur, because like I said, I needed that time to just silence all the other things going through the head and just focus on, breathing and not stepping into a pothole or getting hit by a car or something like that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, as this webinar is entitled Empower Hour, please share a piece of advice that can empower our attendees.
Well, I think you have to, when you're thinking about business, you always have to think about the customer first. And I'm not going to tell you the customer is always right type of thing, but you also just have to understand that you have no purpose without customers. That a business is formed and thrives based on pleasing customers. And so you just always have to keep that in mind and not get, when situations are not good, you have to try to remove the emotion from it. And when I say the emotion, I mean your own personal emotion, and just really try to focus on, how do I find a solution? Because bottom line is, I exist to make customers happy. That's basically all it is. And within that, you just want to operate with integrity and treat people right.
Yeah,
Like you want, the golden rule, you treat others like you want to be treated.
that's great. That's great, great advice. All right, before we wrap up, tell our attendees how they can find you, where you're located, your address, your hours. Are you open 7 days a week? How they find you on the internet, which you talked about, social media.
All right. Well, you can find our location at 2748 North Lincoln Avenue in Chicago. That is between Fullerton and Diversey. You can find us at batterandberries.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Batter and Berries. We are on TikTok, but I'm still figuring that one out. So don't dog out my TikTok posts, please. I'm going to get better at it.
Wait, are you gonna get better at your dance moves to promote yourself on TikTok?
I'm going to be better at my food videos. We're open 7 days a week. We're open Friday through Monday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
In dining only, or can you carry out?
In dine, carry out. We do delivery through all the major apps: DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats.
That's great. Well, before we let you go to figure out next week's special, I'm hoping you can stay a little bit longer,
Yeah.
take a few questions from the audience.
Sure.
Okay, Stella, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Okay, they were asking about grants. Could you talk about any of the grants that you received from the city of Chicago?
So we did receive a West Southwest. So going back to collaborations, we're collaborating with another organization, One and Only. And so we've received a grant to basically build out a restaurant at an existing location on Chicago Avenue in Austin neighborhood in 5900 block. Now, I'm not a grant expert, but she is. So she did really most of the paperwork and everything for us. But, I would tell people, look into them. There are folks out here who will also, for a fee, help you put your grant together and write it and get it in a very, make sure it's, that it goes in looking good and looking right and clear for the committees that are going to be evaluating them. So I would say, yeah, if you want to go that route, then look into that for sure. But again, you also want to try to develop relationships, especially with local banks.
Okay, next question. What is the taste testing process to get the food on the menu?
So the taste testing process is another reason why I have to run and ride bike, because I have to taste all that stuff. But the fun thing about being a smaller organization is that we don't have to run anything through corporate. We are corporate, and so the chef just goes back into the kitchen. He goes to the market. He grabs some stuff. He whips some things up, and we all sit around a table and we taste it and we offer feedback. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's great, let's go with it. Sometimes it might be, oh, it's a little too sweet, dial it down, or it's a little too hot, dial it down. But then he'll go back, redo it, bring it back, and and that's really how it goes. We don't. It's just some folks sitting around the table.
Yeah, you must have more viewers.
Next question. I believe this is the last question. What was the site selection process? Any advice on what people should look for when finding a space?
So that's really going to largely depend upon what your business is and what type of traffic you're looking for. If you're looking for foot traffic, if you're looking for vehicle traffic, if you expect to have a lot of people drive in, then you're going to be looking at parking, because people are going to need some place to put their cars. If you're looking for foot traffic, then you're not necessarily concerned with parking, but you're making sure that you're in a spot where you're getting a lot of the foot traffic that you want and need. So we were looking for at that time a space that had already been a restaurant before, so that we would not have to build out certain things, because we were again using a lot of our own money, and so we were on a pretty tight budget. So the location that we found already had a kitchen built and already had restrooms in place, which, that's a lot of money to get those things put into place. And then we just had to customize them and kind of redesign the the basic paint and spiffy up the floors and do those type of things. So we were looking at size, how big do you want to start? So we didn't want to go real big. We didn't want to go real small. We wanted something kind of in the middle. We were also looking at parking and will people be able to find a spot in a reasonable range area wise. We didn't want folks to have to walk 4 blocks. So we looked at all those different things, and again, but you have to kind of make those decisions based on the type of business and what you expect, how you expect customers to reach you.
Okay, Ken, I believe that's all of the questions.
Thank you, Stella. Well, Craig Richardson, thank you very much. I'm so happy I had lunch before we met, because everything you said, I'm almost getting hungry again. I'm going to give your place a shout out. Batter and Berries, located at 2748 North Lincoln Avenue. I know you said you had 2-hour wait lines at some time, so maybe now it'll get up to 2.5 with some of this chat I'm watching from today. But I just want to thank you very much for your time. I think you were extremely inspirational, and just really want to thank you for everything you're doing for the community, and certainly for filling everyone's bellies. I do believe we may have a few volunteers that listen to some tasters. So just for everyone's refresher, we are located at chicago.gov/business education to find out more about our workshops. We offer free workshops every Wednesday afternoon and Friday morning, and sign up for our newsletter. And next month, we will see you in the 3rd week in March. So thank you, Craig.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.